Hey everybody, Poker Dad here. Doing a GTO Plus video here. This is a video exclusively for my YouTube channel. I know I haven't been making as many YouTube exclusive videos lately, so I wanted to make one here. And this is kind of an important one for me because in this particular video, we're going to be looking at GTO Plus out of position scenarios. And specifically, this one here is going to be under the gun versus the button. So it's a spot I've been kind of struggling with, and I wanted to take a look and break down a hand using GTO Plus out of position. So that is what we are doing here today. I'm using different recording software today. I'm using the software that I use for my streaming, so it'll be interesting to see how this comes out. Hopefully it comes out pretty good for you guys. I don't see a pause button on my controls, which might be a little bit annoying, but you know, we'll do our best here to make a good solid video for you guys. Um, so without further ado, it's going to jump right into it. So we are under the gun versus the button. So just to show you some ranges first, what we're working with. This right here is the under the gun range that we're working with. And this right here is the button calling range. The board that we're looking at on the flop here is ace of spades, queen of hearts, and two of spades. Okay, so this right here is our action first, which is under the gun. Now I did put, of course, that we will be betting some out of position, and we will be checking some out of position. As you can see here, we are betting 24.8%, and we are checking 75%. So let's break it down step by step here. And I'm going to be typing notes as well. So as you can see, I have a notepad set up over here that I'm going to be able to type these notes. It's kind of important for me to type the notes because it helps me retain the information. So first thing here is what we're looking at is sets. So for sets, first of all, you can see down here, we are the green is checking and the blue is betting. Now I didn't make any, I didn't lock any nodes here on this particular analysis because with this being the first analysis I'm doing out of position, this is going to be my focus the entire week. I didn't want to lock any nodes. I just wanted to go with it, go with the flow here. Um, so looking at this, and by the way, the bet size here for the flop is 66%. So out of position, first we can see here that pocket aces. Looks like most of the time we'd be checking these out of position. We'd have a set of, these are all sets of course. So a set of aces and a set of queens looks like we are checking out of position. However, our bottom set of twos would be betting out of position. So I think that's pretty interesting on this board. In fact, let me just go to my notes here and make note of the board here, which is ace of spades, queen of hearts, and two of spades. I don't want this to be bolded, of course. Ace of spades, queen of hearts, and two of spades. So for sets, looks like we are checking our ace-ace and queen-queen combos and betting our 2-2 combos. So our worst set combos we are betting. So I think that is pretty interesting. One second, I gotta turn my fan on over here. It's a little bit warm in my basement this morning. And I do apologize, I'm a little bit sick, so my voice may not sound top quality. Actually, I'm getting a new microphone soon, so my video, the audio quality of my video is going to start being, I think, even much better than they've been. All right, now let's look at the two pair hands. So the two pair hands, as you can see, as a whole here, we're betting more than we're checking. So let's just take a look at combo by combo here. Ace queen suited here. It's just a mixed strategy. We're betting and we're checking some of the times. Obviously, we don't have any draws here, so this is a straight two pair. The best we can improve to is a full house. The ace two here, at least we also do have a backdoor flush draw as well. So as you can see, we're actually betting the backdoor flush draw more than we're betting the non-flush backdoor flush draws. So I think that's quite interesting. So more out of position when we have more outs, we're looking to bet more here. As opposed to here, this is very much 50-50 that we can check or bet out of position. And ace queen offsuit here. As you can see, we are betting more the queen of spade hands, but still for the most part we are betting any hands that have hearts or spades in them. So I think that is quite interesting. So let's write that down for our two pair hands. So for the hands like ace queen suited, so pretty much what we need to know here is we are betting more hands that have backdoor flush draws and checking hands that have no suit connection with the board. And by the way, I set this up as a two-tone board because two-tone boards I think are just probably the most common boards you'll see. Um, Without a doubt, two-tone boards are the most common boards that you'll end up seeing. So I'm getting tangled up in my headphones here. It's another thing when I get my new microphone. I'm drinking coffee as well. Okay, next we're going to look here at top pair hands. So our ace king suited, as you can see, the same idea here. We are betting our, well, first of all, we'll take a look here. We'll see that our top pair hands, we are betting 27%, we're checking 72%. So this is, now we're starting to check a lot more often. So we were betting some of those nuttish hands like sets and two pair hands, more so the two pair hands than the sets. Here, as you can see, we are actually checking a lot more. So here, ace king suited, again, the backdoor flush draw, we are betting out of position, and the ones that don't have any backdoor flush draws, we are checking. So I think that's pretty interesting. And that's really it. Like, that ace king is the only suited combo that we are actually betting. And when you look at the offsuit hands, you can see that the hand that we are betting the most is the ace king of hearts and spades, which makes a lot of sense because both of them have blocker effects here. And we are betting our king of spade hands. So the king of spade hands really is more so the key. The fact that we are betting these king of spade hands, because obviously that means our opponent has less aces as well. And we're betting these here. I can see the value of checking here too because we have the spades, because we are blocking potential flush draws that he could have. But I guess actually that's a better thing, because if we're blocking flush draws that he could have, then he could call with some other combos. Because it also gives us less of a chance that we could get possibly sucked out on the turn. So I think that's kind of interesting that that's a bet. But here, as you can see, it's pretty much 50-50. We're betting hands with, basically, we're looking at the king here. Spades and hearts. We're not so much focused on what the suit of the offsuit ace is. So I do think that's quite interesting. And the other hands we're checking. So this is pretty interesting. All right, so let's take a look here. Our top pair hands, which have an ace. We are betting our ace king hands and checking the rest. And that ace king suited, again, the ace king suited hand, we are only betting the hands with a backdoor flush draw. And the offsuit hands, we are betting only the hands with a king that the suit connects with the board. So for the most part, yeah, we are checking back most of our top pair. I mean, we're not checking back. We are checking our. So we're going to check call, basically, is what we're going to do with these hands. And we'll confirm that because we're going to check and we're going to have our opponent bet. Okay. Because we want to see what kind of hands we want to check raise as well. we're going to try to look at a few different scenarios. It might be a long video, but I think this is just really very important. Out of position is by far the toughest to play. So this is really very important, and we look at a bunch of different scenarios here today. Okay, pocket pair below top pair. Pretty simple here. We're checking. So our pocket pair below top pair, which is king king, we are checking all the time. I mean, there is like a small percentage that we're checking with the spade and the heart, king of hearts, very tiny percentage. So we just say we're checking all of them. Middle pair, same idea. So let's just go down the list here. We don't even have to write down every single scenario when we're going check. All right, so this is well, weak pairs are going to get interesting. So we'll say that our middle pairs we are checking almost 100% of the time. And now our weak pairs, the weaker the hand gets, the more we're potentially betting here. So we still check, 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 check. I mean, the hands that we are betting out of position include mostly spades. So it looks like the hands that we want to bet are going to include spades. And obviously, we can get a lot of folds here on these hands when we have spades, because if our opponent could have completely whiffed this board and we're blocking spades, we can go to a lot of folds here, which we definitely want with eights and sevens and sixes even, because we're betting for protection if we are betting these hands out of position. So this seems like a pretty good board for that, and that's why we're betting spades here. Now fives, as you can see, we're really starting to push the bet for protection out of position. We're betting all of our five spades here. And the same thing here, we're betting all our four spades, and we're betting all of our three of spades. So that is very, very interesting. So let's take a look at that. Let's write that down. So weak pairs, which is 3-3 through Jack-Jack. We are checking 9-9 through Jack-Jack, but starting with, we'll say 6-6 through 8-8, we can bet some combos that have a spade, and 3-3 through 5-5, we should be betting all of our combos that have a spade. Okay. So that's definitely interesting. So our weaker combos, these really need protection, and we're most likely to get folds from hands that have a spade. So obviously we have 5 of clubs, 5 of hearts, 5 of diamonds, 5 of hearts, 5 of diamonds, 5 of clubs, all these hands here. We're betting less because we have less fold equity, but we have more fold equity when we do actually hold the spade. Okay, our flush draws here. Well, let's go take a look actually at let's find some no-made hands here that don't have any draws at all, because that's the key. So we're just going to go through this real quick and just find any hands that don't have any draws. Probably most of them have some kind of draw. It's kind of tough. It's kind of tough to tell, because what would the draws be? This is always like the toughest thing to kind of figure out here. Like these are gut shot. This is a gut shot. It really needs to be something where there's no gut shot. So like here, our diamond and club king 9, right? For instance, that doesn't have any kind of flush draw. Those would be checking. Let's look at the suited hands first. So the non-backdoor flush draws were just like always that completely missed. So no made hand without any backdoor flush draw. As you can see, we're just checking. So we'll write that down. It's kind of important. We're not going to be bluffing there, which is pretty obvious. And now for our flush draws here. So our flush draws, which are obviously the spade hands. See, it looks like most of them here we're just checking out of position. Every single one here, except for the 5-4 suited. So our weakest flush draw, we're actually betting here. Now, the cool thing about the 5-4 suited is it's also a gut shot as well. So is this the only hand here that makes it? Well, it's not only a gut shot, but it's also a nut flush draw as well. So it's a pretty strong hand. I think this is, yeah, definitely something that we could definitely bet 5-4 suited. Is this the only one with the gut shot? We do have other gut shot hands here, but we're not betting those. But this one here, obviously, this is just a huge combo draw. We have a straight flush draw. We have a straight draw. A we have a flush draw. This is like just a monster hand. It's 5-4 suited, which makes a lot of sense why we'd want to bet that here. So let's write that down. Flush draws, mostly checking flush draws, except the 5-4 suited, which is also a straight draw, straight flush draw, and flush draw. A monster. So that's pretty cool. And our gut shots here. By the way, overall, our flush draws here, we are betting 25%, checking 74%. I forgot to mention that stuff. Of course, the gut shots here, which again, mostly checking here. Interestingly enough, the gut shots here. Well, this one's interesting. The king jack. Now I got to shut the fan off. Now I'm cold. I went from being hot to cold. I don't know. Maybe I'm going through menopause. I don't know. I don't think that's possible though. I'm a man. Anyway, king jack here. Interesting that the king jack of diamonds and the king jack of clubs, we'd be actually betting a little bit more, but again, we'd be checking more so. And I think I'd just go right now at NL25, just go with a basic. We're just checking more here, so we'll just check all of our gut shots, which is what it looks like here. Now there are some king jack offsuit hands here that you can see that we are betting more, and that is quite interesting. So it's almost like the opposite of what we've been thinking about doing on this particular hand so far. Is, as you can see, the king jack combos, the offsuit combos, we are betting the combos that do not include a spade. So I find that very interesting. And let's see if we, by doing this, I mean, obviously we're blocking some ace king, some queen jack, some king queen hands. So we're blocking a lot of potential bluffs he could have here, but we're not blocking we're not blocking any flush draws though. I'm not quite sure I understand why in this scenario that we would be betting our non-spade hands here, because it's just the opposite of everything that we've been doing. But I do find that quite interesting, so we'll definitely take note of that. I mean, obviously, with the ace of spades being out there, there's less, of course, suited ace combos that we're worried about. With us not having a spade. Okay, so all right, so for example, right, we have king of clubs. That means that our opponent has less ace king of club combos, right? He doesn't have ace king of club combos, so that it means he has less ace king combos, ace suited ace combos, because all he could have if he had ace king would be hearts and diamonds, and we have the jack of diamonds, so that's less. Now he can't have, again, less suited ace combos when you're talking about ace of diamonds and jack of diamonds. So that could be the scenario here, is why we're not betting our spade hands here, because obviously king of spades, he was never going to have an ace. If actually, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because by having non-spade hands, that eliminates some more of his suited ace combos. Like we're chopping out two suited ace combos by not having a spade. So I think that's the reasoning behind actually betting the combos that don't have a spade and not betting the combos that do have a spade. That actually makes a lot of sense when you think about it. Specifically for King Jack, because that's the most likely scenarios for having suited aces, at least a couple of the suited aces. So it does make a lot of sense there. And plus, we're blocking some other draws as well. And you can see the same thing even here. King of Hearts, 10 of Clubs. So it makes more sense to bet out of position if we do not have a spade and we have Broadway cards, specifically the King cards, most importantly. That being said, don't know how often I would do that, but it still is a factor, of course. Interesting enough, also by the way, the 5-4 of hearts, we'd be betting out of position here. We do have the backdoor draw as well, so it's kind of a monster. It's like a partial monster draw, and of course checking back the diamonds and the clubs. So let's write this in. This was definitely probably the most interesting hand strength here so far. Gut shots. So what do we take away from this here is that the suited hands. So the suited hands we are checking. The king jack off, we are betting our hands that don't include a spade, because we are blocking more ace suited Broadway combos. So it's just less likely that our opponent could have aces, because remember he's calling us in the button from under the gun, and he's not going to be calling with ace 10. He'll be calling with ace. If he's going to be calling with any aces in that spot, he's going to be calling with a lot of his offsuit aces. I mean, he's gonna be calling with offsuit aces. He's gonna be calling with like ace jack, ace queen. He probably might three bet ace queen, but he could also call ace queen and ace king. Sometimes these guys can call those hands. If they do call those hands, they're gonna be like more so suited. Like ace king offsuit should be more three bet. Ace king suited, you can call more so. So these are less of those hands that he could possibly have. Also, again, a lot of the offsuit, a lot of the suited aces that are on the lower end of the spectrum, he can three bet. So it's just really reducing a lot of the aces that he could have, which makes it better for us. We can bet there, and possibly just get him to fold there. Plus, we do also have a draw that we can improve as well, but we're not too worried about him having aces there. So we can bet out of position and possibly get a lot of folds, maybe some pocket pairs, maybe fold out some weaker draws or something like that. That we could be if we check and he gets a free card, he could be ahead of us on the turn. So I think that's the big concept with the king jack offsuit, and king 10 offsuit, same idea to a lesser extent. And 5-4 suited, we are betting our backdoor flush draw, checking the others. I won't include the flush draw, of course, because we just dealt with that. And our backdoor flush draws. So we already took a look at a lot of these here. We took a look at these here with the aces, with the top pair. And it looks like here the other ones, for the most part, we're checking. Except again, of course, the 5-4, which we've already discussed. So backdoor flush draws, we're just checking. Oh, I'm sorry, I wasn't on the screen here. I apologize. Here are the backdoor flush draws. So here we're checking these backdoor flush draws here. And like I said, the aces we already went over. So backdoor flush draw, checking. Okay, so let's just quickly take a quick review of what we just looked at here. So checking our ace, ace, and queen, queen combos, betting our 2-2 combos. So our worst set combos we're betting. Two pair hands, we're betting more hands than we have that have backdoor flush draws, and checking hands that have no suit connection on the board. Top pair hand ace, we're betting our ace king hands and checking the rest. Ace king suited hand, we are only betting the hands with backdoor flush draws. And the offsuit hands, we are betting only the hands with a king that has that a suit connects with the board. Pocket pair, below top pair, we're checking all the time. Middle pairs, we're checking almost 100% of the time. Weak pairs, jack, jack through 3-3. We are checking 9-9 through jack, jack. But starting with 6-6 through 8-8, we can bet some combos that have a spade. And 3-3 through 5-5, we should be betting all of our combos that have a spade. No made hands and no flush draw, we're checking. Flush draws, mostly checking flush draws except the 5-4 suited, which is also a straight draw, straight flush draw, and flush draw. Gutshots, suited hands, we're checking. The king jack offsuit, we're betting our hands that don't include a spade because we're blocking more ace suited Broadway combos. King 10 off, with same idea to a lesser extent. 5-4 suited, we are betting our backdoor flush draw, checking the others, and backdoor flush draw, we're checking. Okay, so for this exercise here, we are going to check, and we're going to have our opponent bet. He's going to bet 66% of the pot. What's he betting with here? He's betting with some two pair combos. He's checking back his top pair hands, some of the top pair hands. So not all of them, but to a lesser extent. Middle pair, weak pair hands. He's betting his flush draws, which is really interesting. So instead, he's bluffing a lot here. As you can see, he's bluffing a lot actually. A lot of his combos here are bluffs, and he's betting a little bit of value, but checking back his top pair hands, which I think is really interesting. Which I don't think is so super realistic here, but I didn't put any nodes, so it is what it is. So he bets. Excuse me. Okay, so he bets. And now what are we doing when he bets? So I'm just going to actually write down here. Opponent. We bet. We check. Opponent bets 66%. So blue is raise, green is call, red is fold. So here we are calling, we are not raising, we are calling our better sets, and we are raising our pocket twos that we did happen to check. Now for the most part, we were betting our pocket twos for our sets of twos, but there was a small percentage of sets, of course, that we were not betting. Here we are raising 100% of our set of twos if we decided to check, and we are calling our top sets here. So sets, calling our top sets, and raising our bottom set if we check them OOP. Okay. Our two pair hands, again, for the most part, we are just calling our two pair hands. Again, we can raise our hands that have a spade, a queen of spades here, more so. Like, we're checking a higher percentage of time, but we're also raising more two pair hands that have a queen of spades, which is interesting. So let's take note of that. So two pair, raising, we can raise hands that have a queen of spades and call the rest. And also the ace-2 here, we're mostly just calling and not raising, which I find very interesting. Our top pair hands, For the most part here, we are just calling all of our aces. We're not raising any of them. Sometimes we can raise here our backdoor nut flush draw with the ace, which I do think is kind of interesting. So we'll take note of that. So our top pair hands, calling all of them. Sometimes raising our top pair ace backdoor flush draw hands. Okay. Okay. Pocket pair. This is the kings here. So as you can see with the kings, we are calling most of them. However, interestingly enough, the pair of kings that do not have a heart or a spade, we're actually folding. Kind of interesting here to just fold second pair. Now, we're not doing it a high percentage at a time. It's pretty much 50-50. But it is kind of interesting that we would elect to possibly fold here. And it kind of makes sense because we really don't have much room for improvement. We only have 2 outs to improve here. We can't improve and possibly bluff with hearts later on. And the same thing with spades as well. Obviously, with spades, we could always hit the nut flush if 2 more spades come out. So we do have more improvement there. So calling those kings makes a little bit more sense. However, we can like half of the time we can fold the kings without a heart or a spade, which I think is quite interesting. So we should definitely take note of that. So we'll say king. So we'll say pocket pair below top pair. Calling all combos that include spade or heart because they can improve, but also block heart draws as well. But we can fold 51% of the time our combos that our combo, not combos, our combo that doesn't include a suit on the board. Okay. All right, the middle pair, here's where we start folding some hands here with our queens. So king queen here looks like we are calling, raising a small percentage of the time our flush draw, but for the most part just calling here. And it looks like we are folding our queens that don't have a flush draw, or the offsuit here, the hands that don't have a spade. Okay. And, the king queen, we have a kicker that is higher than the queen, and the other hands we have a kicker that's lower than the queen. I've always noticed that. Obviously, better to have the better kicker, because then our opponent obviously has less king queens in his range. So his queens, of course, if he's betting, could be worse queens than ours. So middle pair, which is the queen, we are calling our king queen hands, which is middle pair, good kicker, calling our hands with a flush draw and folding the rest. Also, the offsuit hand, calling hands with a spade, because obviously those can improve. Weak pair hands here. So as you can see, we're dumping all of our low pairs here at this point, and most of our sevens here. We're calling the sevens with that have a spade and a heart specifically, and eights through jacks. It looks like we're calling all of our hands that have spades. So here we're folding jacks. So this is interesting. So all of our hands have spades here. 8 through jack, we are calling, we're dumping the rest. And starting with the sevens, which is the middling, like sevens is like the middle, right? So it's the middle of all these here. We're only calling really the hand that has the spades and the heart. and dumping everything else. So weak pairs. So again, obviously the spades are the key here. 8-8 through Jack-Jack. Calling hands that have a spade. Folding the rest. And 3-3 through 6-6. We are folding all combos. And 7-7, we are calling our combo with a heart and spade. Okay. Obviously, our no-made hands, I mean, we're just going to be folding all these pretty with no draws or anything like that. Pretty simple. We don't even need to make note of that, of course. Okay, our flush draws. Again, you'll notice we're really not doing much check raising at all. In fact, look real quick at the entire range here. We're only raising 4% of the time. We're only check raising 4% of the time. For the most part, we're just calling, which I do think is actually kind of interesting that we're really not check raising here. So here you can see flush draws, all the flush draws, we're just calling. Even like a small percentage of time, we're only a small percentage of time we're raising this nut hand here. So that is interesting. Oh, sorry again, I screwed up and I forgot to actually show you. I think I did the same thing on the last flush draws too, or backdoor flush draws. Here we're just checking. As you can see, check, 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 check. So flush draws. When I say not checking, calling, I mean, I apologize. So we're not really raising much at all here. Now how about our gut shots here? All right, so gut shots. We are calling even our hands that don't include a flush draw. Here we are folding. So King Jack here we are calling. However, King 10 gut shot, we actually are folding a higher percentage of the time. Our non-flush draw, backdoor flush draw gut shots. But Jack 10 here we're calling. 5-4 here we're calling. King Jack hands here. We can fold. So interestingly enough, again, we can fold our gut shots that don't have any suits on this particular board. Same thing here with the King 10 off. It just looks like the King 10 off is like a hand. I think because it really lacks like some blocker effects, because of there are less ace 10 hands our opponent could have. Our opponent could have a bunch of ace jack hands, right? They can call out of position. I mean, call from the button with ace jack offsuit, but they're mostly never calling with ace 10 offsuit, right? So given that we know that they're probably not calling with many ace 10 hands, they're gonna have so many more ace jack combos and ace 10 combos. We're actually folding our king 10 hands here because there are less blockers. And that kind of makes sense here. The same thing here with the king 10 hands. Less blockers, we're folding more. We don't have any kind of, we don't have any spades here, which is the big suit on this particular board. We're folding them. So very interesting. Jack 10, again here, we're blocking ace jack hands. So this makes a little bit more sense. Plus of the, we have great connected, the Jack 10 is a solid hand here. And of course the 5-4. So makes a lot of sense. That King 10 hand, the Jack 10, it's interesting, the Jack 10 hand between the King 10 hand, because of course he's also going to have less ace king combos as well, because he's going to 3-bet a lot of those in the button. So our gut shots, calling our hands that have suited connectedness. I don't know if that's a word, but I'm just going to go with it. All right, wow, it actually is a word. Folding our King 10 combos that don't have a BDFD or flush draw, and the offsuit combos don't have a spade. So we can actually fold those gut shots. And the Backdoor flush draw here. Um, we already dealt with the aces, of course. So the king 10 and the king jack and the king 10 that have gut shots. Obviously, we're calling, and we are folding our king 9, king 8. All the ones here that are just strictly backdoor flush draws, we're folding. Obviously, the 5-4 here has a gut shot as well. So anything that's only a backdoor flush draw, we're folding. Hands that are only a backdoor flush draw, we are folding. All right. So overall, as you can see, here we are raising 4%, calling 56%, folding 39%. 1 second. I'm a little congested. I apologize. It's a couple of minutes. I apologize. That's nasty. Okay, so now we need a suit. We need a suit here. So actually, let's do something here. Let's open up Flopzilla and give ourselves a random suit. Hope you guys are enjoying this video so far. I think it's been so far very, very informative. So let's figure this out. Let's get ourselves a random card here. So we got Ace of Spades, Queen of Hearts, Two of Spades, and let's go to random turn card. 5 of Clubs. All right, that's random, all right. We can do that. By the way, interesting. Let's look real quick at the turn report. You can see what cards are good for us here. Oddly enough, not odd, but interestingly enough, the 5 of Clubs is actually one of the least great hands for us. But there really aren't many combos here on the turn that really we're not going to be too happy to see. We're obviously really happy with this board to begin with. So we're going to go with the 5 of Clubs. And we just got to press this button here. Okay. So on this board here, now the way I have this set up, if we have been passive, obviously we are going to be checking the turn. So in this particular case, we checked the flop, he bet, we called. We are going to be checking with 100% of our range here. So let me just make note of this here. First, on the turn. Turn is a 5 of Clubs. Checking the entire range. Since we checked on the flop, no matter what. We're not donking or anything like that. And let's now see what we'll have our opponent do. Our opponent's going to have a couple options here. So our opponent has an option to bet 66%, underbet, or check. So GTO Plus has our opponent always betting 66% when he does bet. And he's betting a large percentage of his range. So let's see what he's betting here. He's betting his sets here, his 2-pair hands, mostly his top pair hands here, middle pair hands. He's betting a lot. He is betting a ton of his range here. I mean, he's betting 79% of his range. So he's betting like pretty much like everything at this point. This is actually pretty awesome. So obviously we're going to have our opponent bet. He's betting 12.88 big blinds. The pot, by the way, is 17.17 big blinds. He's betting 12.88. And now we will figure out, again, interestingly enough, we are not check raising here. Very interesting that we're not check raising. Very interesting that we're not check raising. Like anything, 0% we're check raising. So opponent bets 60, actually it's 75%. I apologize. 75% here. So what are we doing? Okay. Again, really very interesting. We're hardly ever raising here. When I say hardly ever, it looks like actually interesting. There is a raising. I don't know why this says 0% because there is this. Unless this is like literally the only combo that we're raising here is fives. Because here, well, yeah, look. Okay. 0.0004. These fives are literally the only thing we're raising here. Only thing we're check raising is our set of fives. So we're calling our aces, we're calling our queens, and we're checking and we're raising our set of fives. So sets, calling our ace ace and queen queen combos, and raising our 5-5 combos. So again, we are raising our weakest set, but only calling our better sets. Now, keep in mind here, which was really interesting, is the fact that our opponent was betting the turn with a gigantic portion of his range. So when he's doing this with all those draws and we're sitting here calling with sets, we're setting him up pretty good here, possibly for a check raise on the river. And I hope that's what GTO Plus is going to want us to do. Hopefully we're setting up for check raise on the river. Still, this is a little bit scary because we might not get all the value we want out of our sets. But I also got to think that if it went check check, and I want to take a look at this before we finish this video, is what happens when flop goes check check. But for the most part right now here, as you can see, we are raising our bottom set. We are calling our stronger sets. And again, two pairs here. Again, we're calling our top pair hands. And here, so now, our kings. So first, let's just make a note here that we are calling our two pair and top pair hands. Not much analysis needed there. But the kings here, for the most part, we're folding our kings now at this point. Obviously, he has aces in his range. He bets twice. We're just going to fold up our kings. The only calls that we're looking to do here are if we have spades, which is interesting because we're blocking some of his bluffs. However, if he had something like ace king suit that he did not 3-bet for whatever reason, which for the most part people are going to 3-bet that, but we're also blocking some king queen combos as well. So we could still be ahead. If he's betting kings, we are blocking some king queen combos, especially if he had a flush draw. Well, he can't have a flush draw of. So that's interesting. That we wouldn't just call all of our kings here because we are blocking king queen. But for the most part, we're folding our kings here and calling some hands with the king of spades. So middle pair, folding most of our king-king combos, calling some with a spade. Now, while we're folding the king-king, we are actually calling most of our queen combos. So let's see. Look at this. Most of our queen combos that have a king, of course, because again we have the better kicker, but also, well, these are the spade. All right, so these are flush draws. So obviously, we're calling those. Okay, all right. So pretty self-explanatory then here. The queens with the king, king, queen. We got middle pair, top kicker. We're calling those. Funny that we're not calling our king, king for the most part, but we're calling our king, queen hands. And obviously, we're calling our flush draws. So really, what's to take note here is the fact that we're calling king, queen. So middle pair. Sorry, the king king was not middle pair, by the way. So this was pocket pair below top pair. So middle pair, queens. We are calling our king queen hands, folding the rest that don't include a flush draw. So we're folding the rest of our queens, the crap queens here. We're folding. We're calling our king queen here. Very interesting. Weak pair hands, they're gone at this point. We are not calling any of them here. Let's even just ignore those eights. The only one that we are calling is the 6-5 of spades, which makes a lot of sense, of course, and our 5-4 of spades. So other than that, the weak pairs, they're gone. Goodbye, weak pairs. Folding all of them except our spade flush draws we're calling. Okay. No made hands, of course, we're going to fold all those. Call these, of course, but all this other stuff, that's, at this point, we're just dumping everything. Flush draws. Okay. Interesting here. Obviously, we are calling all of these, but we are dumping some. Jack 9, 10 9, 9 8, 8 7, and 7 6. We are dumping these. We're calling these, of course, we got the pair. So obviously these here are higher end flush draws that we want to call. This is the gut shot. Is what Jack 10 suited is the gut shot. Jack 9 is not. Okay, so we are calling our king high flush draws, which is a nut flush draw. This is the second nut flush draw. Jack 10 suited we are calling because it's a combo draw. We have a gut shot here as well. If a king comes out, we have a straight draw. Plus, also we have the flush draw. We start folding these hands here that are only flush draws. So, very interesting. These are second nut flush, third nut flush, gut shot, just flush draws, middling flush draws. Even if we hit our flush, we could be behind, so we get rid of these hands. Pretty interesting. And these here, of course, we have a pair, and also this is the monster as well. So, very interesting and very cool. I'm kind of glad to see this. So, flush draws. We are calling our nut flush and second nut flush draws and flush draw with gut shot, folding all other flush draws. Okay. And our gut shots, at this point here, if they don't have a flush draw, we're folding our gut shots. With the exception to, obviously, these aces here, because we have top pair here. So, yeah, gut shots are gone. Gut shots at this point, we are folding. Unless there is a flush draw. Okay. Good stuff. So, obviously we're going to call here. That's the plan. And we need now another card. Let us see what the river will produce. Actually, let's first see, out of curiosity, let's take a look at the river report. What do we want to see and what do we not want to see? Okay, let's take a look here. For the most part, we're happy with most cards except for any spade. We don't want to see a spade come out. As you see, any other card we're pretty happy with. Spades, we are not very happy with because, of course, our opponent has a ton of flush draws. We do too, but they have more flush draws than we do. Okay, so let's go take a look at Flopzilla. Let's give ourselves a river card. It is a 5 of hearts. Oh, what an interesting card. Board pairs on the river. What an interesting card. And it's a heart too, which is also very interesting. So 5 of hearts. Obviously, once again, we're checking our entire range here. So let's just make note of this now. The river comes out. 5 of hearts, and we check. So let's see what's going on here. Our opponent is betting 51% of his range. He's checking 48% of his range. Obviously, quads, two pairs. And by the way, notice he's not under betting again. And he is checking back his top pair of hands, his middle pair of hands, his weak pair of hands. He doesn't have any flushes. That's interesting. How does he not have any flushes? Oh, right, there's no flushes. I'm an idiot. Never mind. Because there wasn't a flush. There's no flushes because there's no possible flush. Duh. Okay, anyway. So quads and two pair he's betting. So he's betting really for value. He has some bluffs here. Uh, he's bluffing some of his missed flush draws, but not all of them. Just his like really weak missed flush draws here. He's bluffing. Interesting. Okay, so obviously we're gonna have him bet because if he checks, the hand's over. We are raising. So raising, we're shoving here, of course. This is one of the things I don't understand about GTO Plus is like it's really not shoving, it's raising because the one thing I don't understand is like the effective stack part of it. The videos I watched by Adam Wheeler says effective stacks are the total amount of chips that both opponents have. But again, like if I'm raising this much, it's all in. So I don't really understand that so much. But here we're raising a little bit, we're calling, we're folding. So let's take a look at what we're raising first. We are just calling our full houses here. Quite interesting. We're not even like contemplating raising, but yet we are raising our ace five. We're raising our ace five here. We're calling our other full house hands here. Not really sure I understand that. Why would we not want to raise here? I think this is like something having to do with the fact again that with the stacks, the way the stacks worked out, that like okay, so like we raised, and then our opponent raised. I don't quite understand why that works out that way. Because I mean, obviously, I'd be raising all of these here. So I think this is like just a glitch in the setup. That's why I really think that effective stacks should actually be what our opponent like who has like the actual like legit effective stacks. Like if whoever has the lowest amount of big blinds in their stack should be the effective stack. So I think like actually in the GT, like if you go search Adam Wheeler's GTO Plus videos, I think he's wrong about effective stacks. I think effective stack is the effective stack of the opponent, the effective stack at the table, which is whichever person at the table has the least amount of chips, that's the effective stack. It makes a lot more sense, obviously. So I do think that's wrong, and that's a correction I'm going to make going forward on my GTO Plus analysis. But going forward here, I mean, we really obviously should be raising all our full houses here. I don't think that's much of a question. Three of a kinds here. We're raising our three of a kind hands, all of our fives, and two pair hands. We're calling, which I think is definitely correct. I just think the full houses here is not correct. So our top pair hands, we're actually folding some. So let's start writing some of this stuff down. I'm gonna say, I know what this said here, but full house. I don't care what it says. I'm just raising all of them. I'm shoving on all of them. I could, you can make a case actually for not shoving queen queen here on the off chance that our opponent has ace ace and decided to call, but it's just so unlikely he has ace ace. But he could have ace five though, right? So I mean, what would be the reasoning behind just calling these here? Like, what are we losing to with ace ace here, right? What could we possibly be losing to? We have aces over fives. We're not losing to anything. Queens here, we could definitely be losing to ace five, twin ace five combo. No, we wouldn't be because there would be fives over aces. So we wouldn't be losing here either. Yeah, I mean, I just think we're shoving on all full houses. I'm sorry. Sorry, GTO Plus. That's the way I'm going. But on uh, our three of a kind hands, which of course is fives, any five combos, we are shoving. My contact is bugging out. And I don't know how to pause on this on OBS here, which is what I'm recording on. So I got to figure that out. How to actually pause here. I can only do stop, stop recording. My contact is bugging out. All right, I'm gonna go through this quickly here. Two pair hands, we are calling, which makes sense. Sometimes here we're raising ace queen. Actually, if you take a look, actually the ace queen combos with a spade, we're actually raising. Oh, okay. So two pair ace queen. I'm glad we didn't just look past this here. Ace queen combos with our two pair ace queen combos with a spade, we're raising. Interesting enough because we are blocking his bluffs here, so we can definitely get called by worse. We can get called by other ace combos here that he might be betting. So yeah, ace queen offsuit with a queen of spades, we are raising actually. So ace queen offsuit hands with a spade, we are raising because we are blocking bluffs, so we can get called by worse. Makes a lot of sense. Top pair hands here. So ace king, we're calling. We are folding most of our other aces here. Except our ace 10 heart combos we're calling, but we're folding the ones that don't have any hearts in them. Again, I think that's a situation here. Obviously, we're calling. He can be betting with worse here. He can be bluffing here sometimes with the backdoor flush draws that might have missed. Although we're blocking those, so I guess the fact is like here we can call because of the fact that we have the hearts. But why not call our other aces here? It's interesting that the ace of hearts here we would call, but the other aces we would fold. The ace 10 of hearts and fold the other ace combos. Why? Let's see, ace 10 here. If we had the other two, ace 10, it's gonna flop. On the flop, he's betting. He could be betting some draws, some spade draws. Bets again, but he wouldn't have had backdoor draws, so it's still like less bluffs he would have. But I guess we're just calling the hard hands. I don't know why. Not 100% sure. Ace nines. We're calling all of our ace nines. This is where it gets like really complicated. Why are we like why some aces and not some other aces? Like why all these aces are we calling? The weaker aces we're calling. We're folding some of these middling aces here. Calling some of them here. It just seems like for the most part we're just like it's just a mix, and I don't really 100% sure why. If you understand why, please do me a favor, comment below and let me know. I'd really appreciate it here. Like we're folding all of our ace six combos. Which is interesting. I'm not really sure I understand. Ace jack here. We're calling our. So like you see, like look at this one here. Like ace jack, ace diamond, jack spade. We're folding, but we're calling ace club, jack spade, and ace heart, jack spade. Why? Why? Like what about the ace of heart and the? So I guess, yeah, this is like just beyond my comprehension on why on the like why we're calling some of these here. Um, it's like we're okay calling the heart spade combos and the club spade combos, but we don't want. But the ace of heart club combo, no. So I guess we're just calling like we're just calling more spade combos, especially if they have the heart. Not sure I fully understand it. Uh, so top pair, calling the ace king combos. Other combos seem to be suit related if we are calling or folding. Emphasis on calling combos that we have spades in offsuit hands. And let's see, the suited hands again. Like ace nine. Why? Ace eight. I mean, for the most part, we're folding these here. Sometimes we're raising ace eight. Um, not really sure I understand why. We're calling our weaker aces too, which is kind of interesting. So we're calling weaker aces, folding some middle of the road aces, but we are calling our ace nine suited aces. Wish I could have a better explanation why, but I just don't fully understand why that's the case. Interesting though. Let's see. Pocket. So if we haven't already folded our kings, we're folding our kings. Fold king king at this point. If we haven't already folded them, we're folding them at this point. Um, Middle pair hands. So here we are calling our king queen hands that don't have a spade, and we're folding our hands that have a queen of spades, but calling the rest. And obviously, we're folding all of our other queens. This is complicated stuff. All right, so king queen, we are folding our suited spades, but calling our diamonds and clubs. And the offsuit, we are calling our hands that don't have a queen of spades. Now, I wonder if I would have set this up with the effective stack being a certain way, if how this would have affected things. And we're folding the rest of our queen hands. Okay. And weak pairs we're folding, and of course no main hands we're folding. Folding weak pairs and no made hands. All right. So now, what are we gonna do? Real quick, I'm not gonna write down the notes for this stuff, but let's just run through real quick on a check scenario. So he checks, we check. Same board, by the way. We'll go with the same board here. So now, as you can see here, this is when check check. Now we're betting some. So let's take a quick look, see what we're betting. We have two bet sizes, by the way. We have a 75% bet size here, an underbet, and a check. Notice that we're underbetting actually more here. So we are underbetting now most of our sets here, except for our fives here. We are betting more for value, but even we're underbetting our twos here, which is quite interesting. Just want to see really like what we're still checking. But we're betting a ton. Like actually we're only checking 8% of the time. So this is a delayed C bet, of course. So we are doing a delayed C bet just a ton of the time here. Two pair hands we're betting. Top pair hands, mostly underbetting again, which is interesting. So mostly our delayed C bets are underbets. Quite interesting and very interesting actually. Maybe our strongest hands we're betting more for value, but for the most part we're underbetting here. Underbetting our kings, delayed C bet. Middle pair, underbetting. Weak pairs, again, underbet, 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 underbet. Mixed here. Underbetting our monster, our 6-5, our flush draw here. Betting a little bit larger on the larger side, our weak pair, which is interesting. Here, the fives. Here now, the weaker hands, it's a mix. But for the most part, underbetting. For the most part, underbetting. This one here, the 4-4, where just like a mix, 54%, betting 75%, or underbetting. Threes underbetting. So lots of underbets, delayed C bets, underbets, most of the time here. Our flush draws, again, for the most part, underbetting. Some of the second off flush draws, the King Jack, which of course we have the blockers there. King 8 is interesting. That we would bet larger with King 8 than King 9. But again, here, underbet. Check sometimes with the queens, but underbet, bet, 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 bet. It's interesting stuff. Even here, look, I mean, hands that have like no draws, we're underbetting. We are pretty much like freaking. There's not much here that we are checking behind. We are, and this is great because this is how I would play. I would be betting pretty much my entire range here, but it's interesting to see that it's underbets, and I've been betting larger in these spots, and it's really interesting to see that we're looking at underbets here. Okay, so let's underbet. Our opponent can raise some of the time. So let's just hypothetically say, okay, our opponent raises. We're raising all of our sets. Some of our two pair hands, the ones that don't include a spade, we're raising. Because, okay, he could be doing this with a flush draw. So he raises us. We can actually now 3-bet hands that don't have a spade. Because we're not blocking his flush draw. We get his flush draw to fold. Interesting to note that, by the way, that we can actually raise those hands. Top pair hands we're calling. Pocket pair below top pair we're calling. Middle pair we're calling. We start folding when we get to the weak pair hands. The hands that don't include a spade, we start folding these hands. Which is interesting. These flush draws here, we can raise. The other flush draws we're calling. Specifically, we're looking at the hands with the jack. Block ace jack here. The king 10 suited. Block those random ace 10 hands. So they're blocking gut shots, and we're blocking, and we also have flush draws here, so we're re-raising there. And gut shots here. We're folding the ones that don't have spades, pretty much, except for the offsuit gut shots, which is interesting. Offsuit gut shot, king jack. Again, remember we were playing at kind of an aggressive way. The other scenario, same thing here. King 10 off. Again, we can call hands with spades and fold the rest. Interesting. Okay, so bet. raise, but let's go. Okay, let's just go bet, and he calls. And again, let's make the river that 5 of hearts again. Because I want to see about bluffing here. Because this has been a problem for me. So, bet. We're betting for value 75% of the time, 75%, 33% of the time. Under betting 39% of the time, checking 27% of the time. Let's see what we're doing here out of position. We did a delayed C bet with pretty much almost our entire range. Um, this was the under bet. He calls. What are we doing here on the river? Well, our quads, we are under betting our quads, which makes sense. We want to get him to call. You know, we got the freaking monster at that point. Flush draws here. We are betting 75% our full houses, I'm sorry. Our top full house, betting 75%. Interesting enough, we are checking or sometimes under betting our weaker full house here, our queen queen. And the same thing here, the 2-2, we're under betting. So the queen queen, the middle full house here, we are checking more at the time. Good spot for a check raise or something like this. And here we're under betting, and we could of course call a raise here with our twos. I think we'll take a look real quick at that scenario. 3 of a kind here. We're doing a mix of betting. So our missed spades here with our 3 of a kind, we are betting on the larger side, but we're under betting our 6-5 of diamonds. 5-4 suited here. We are just under betting. 2 pair hands, a complete mix. It's like just do whatever the hell you want to do, whatever bet size you want. But for the most part, we're definitely betting here. It's just a mix of different size for our 2 pair hands. Our top pair hands, we are betting. We're betting 75%. Ace-Jack suited here. The hearts, we are 100% betting 75%, under betting our non-heart hands. And again, same thing here. Our Jack of Spade hands, you'll notice we have more under bet. We have under betting with our Jack of Spade hands here. But we're betting pretty much all of our top pairs here. The rare occasion here with Ace 10, but for the most part we're betting. We're under betting our kings here, which is definitely good because we want to do this for protection. We don't want to check kings here and then have this guy bluff us and we have to fold our kings. And that's like with a lot of these hands here. We're betting for protection. We're under betting. We're under betting in these spots. If he raises, we can fold him. Interesting, the king 10 hand and the queen 10 hand and the queen 9 hands. We are checking some of the time. So we're not so much worried about these for protection. Although the non-spade hand, we are under betting. Our weak pair hands, again, jacks for protection. The rest of these here we're checking. We can just check, give up with these hands. Interesting though, that we're bluffing here. You'll notice we're bluffing our weakest pairs. So we're actually turning the 6s, the 4s, and the 3s into a bluff, where we're just checking back these hands, hoping to go check, check, and possibly actually win a showdown. These here we're actually bluffing with. And no-made hands here. I mean, these are legit no-made hands. As you can see, for the most part, where we are bluffing with our no-made hands, with the exception of hands like King 9, 10 9, so some hands with some 9s here. King 10, some of the time, but for the most part, as you can see here, we're checking less than 50% of the time. For the most part, we are bluffing here in these spots because there's really not much else we can do with these hands. So the 10-9 here, we are bluffing our, very interesting, we're bluffing our missed spade draw here. The King 9 we're not, because the King 9 we can still win actually with King High. The 10-9 we're not though. Now, you'll notice under bet. We're under betting with the kings here. We're under betting the missed spade draws, and we're betting 75% with our complete air, not non-missed draws. The king 8 here, again, we're betting, mostly under betting, and here we're checking back the king 8, except we're under betting the spade, the missed spade draws. So under betting the missed spade draws as a bluff. Again here, so under betting the missed spade draws. Here, under betting the king of spade hands. So instead of betting 75, instead of betting big, we bet small, could still get a fold. You know, under bets are like a little bit fishy sometimes too. They're like, oh, he's trying to get me to call like real cheap here. We'll just fold here. So we're actually underbetting these bluffs. Opposite of what I've been doing. This will save me some money by underbetting these spots. Again, same thing here. This one here, we're either underbetting or checking. So definitely interesting. Where on the complete miscrap, we're betting big. Now the Jack 10 of spades here. The missed gut shot, missed. I mean, this is a missed gut shot too, but this Jack 10 of spades, for whatever reason, we're just betting big here all the time. But we can underbet too. Interesting. Very interesting. So, what do we want to do here? I mean, does it really matter what we do here? Let's say, okay, we bet, and our opponent raises us here. What are we calling? Obviously, we're raising our quads. We're raising our full houses. So there you go, by the way. Underbet queens, then raise queens. That's probably the same thing here with checking. Raising our queens. So we're check raising our full houses here was the idea. So we're check raising our full houses. Or we're underbet raising our full houses. But if we bet and our opponent raised, we're still raising our full houses no matter what. Oh, that's quads, I'm sorry. Raising these full houses here. So no matter what, we're raising full houses here. You know, we're three betting those. So our queens and our twos, our three of a kind hands, our two pair hands, we're raising all these. We're saying you raise me, no, I raise you. It's reckless. He could have a full house. Top pair hands, we are calling. So we're not folding our top pairs. We are calling our top pair hands. Wow. And then we start folding. All this other stuff before. So we're calling our top pair better on his raise. Ooh, that seems so dangerous and disgusting. And like, oh, fail. I don't know if I could do it. That's be tough to do. That would be tough to do on a board like this, on a paired board, calling all these aces. But wow, we're doing it. It's awesome stuff. This was great. This was a great exploration of GTO Plus. Taking a look at this board. This is going to start my week of focusing on out of position play. Very important, trying to fix this part of my game. So I do appreciate you guys checking out this video. I know it was a little bit long, about an hour and a half, but this type of analysis requires this amount of time to analyze these hands. So I'm very happy that you guys decided to check out this video. I hope that you guys stuck with it. And yeah, do me a favor, guys. If you like what you saw, please click the subscribe button here on YouTube, so then you get notified from when I have new videos. Also, check out my Twitch station. My Twitch station is PokerDad2878. Follow me on Twitter, PokerDad2878. You'll get notified when I post on Twitch. Plus, I'm gonna pretty soon have a Discord set up where you guys can come in and we can chat about poker and maybe do some study together, things like that. Yeah, have a great time. So anyway, I appreciate you guys watching. Until next time, PokerDad out.